When we were trying to devise the very first section, we decided to look at the script a lot more and see what we could pick out from it. So, as you can see at the very top here, it says that the company makes Swindon Town Centre, and we decided that to do that, we'd try and have them mimic what Christopher was saying. So here, when the lady in the street kind of tries to describe the building, we thought that we could get the rest of the cast to kind of create it as how she says it. And then as soon as Christopher says his line about what it looks like, they then change to be his version of the building and ultimately stay like that until the next section, in which Christopher has quite a big paragraph. And for that, he's talking about spiralling around trying to find the train station, and we thought to do that we'd have a few frantic style lifts and move him about as if he's walking around. So at the very beginning, we didn't want to jump straight into the speech and go straight from there, so we decided to have some sort of movement sequence to establish from the beginning that the ensemble will move a lot more fluidly than Christopher will. So to start off with, we were all a big clump to show that we were all together and we were all like-minded and kind of going in kind of waves and turns rather than tight angles. And then there we wanted to do it so that it was as if we were all together, and then as soon as Christopher speaks, it was something out of the blue, and that's why we all turned our heads at the same time. We wanted it to be quite a big thing, and also because it's the first time you see Christopher in this section, we wanted it to kind of emphasise that he was the main character and that this is all about him, in the fact that we were all looking towards him. So this is the bit where the lady in the street and Christopher are talking together, and then here's the ensemble making the building that they're talking about. We changed after this where Christopher and the lady were positioned, because we realised that the building was in the very middle and that the audience would focus a lot more on them than they would Christopher. So we changed sides slightly so that the building was off to the side and Christopher and the lady were right in the middle. But this is the first time we did it, so we didn't really think about that until we got the feedback that we did later. And then here's Christopher's version of the building. And then from here, like I said, we wanted to kind of travel Christopher around so he wasn't the one walking. So we got him up into this lift and kind of spiraled him round a little bit. This was a bit more difficult because we weren't able to emphasise the spiral as much. And also there were certain sections in which he was being blocked by all of us trying to pick him up. So I think we'll have to think about the blocking a lot more in that section, because we want Christopher to be the centre of attention at all times, so we don't want anyone to particularly go in front of him. And then this bit that was happening just there was when he was saying he turned left and turned right, we'd all move our heads left and right. We initially tried to do it where he was kind of moved left and right, but then we realised that that was going to be too hard for the basses, so we decided just to have all of us turn our heads, but then at the very end we turn him around in a circle just to emphasise the kind of spiralling round that he was talking about. We then went back into the train station, which I've covered before. I don't think it's changed particularly much since then, as we decided that it worked well enough that we didn't have to change it. We emphasised a few more of the interactions a bit more, like Bruce jumping over Maya there, to kind of show that we all knew exactly what we're doing and nothing would kind of change that, and it was a daily routine that we were used to. And then when Joel comes in here again, he is very much more confused. We haven't worked on his interactions with all of us yet, in the fact that Christopher doesn't like to be touched, and I think he should be a lot more scared about it all and trying not to touch us as much as he kind of was, in a sense, because it didn't really seem like he was trying to dodge out of our way as much as perhaps Christopher might have been, and if he was a real person. So I think to work on it, we'll have to think I think we'll definitely have to think more frantic style, because with making the train station physically, when the lady and Christopher were talking, it took us a long time to try and come up with it, rather than because we were trying to think about everything rather than just playing about like frantic do. So I think while it seems a bit counterintuitive, we do need to play a bit more than we actually are, rather than being very serious and trying to think out every single little thing that we're doing. We just need to experiment and get on with it and actually try and make it and then adapt it from there. I think character-wise, we definitely need to up Christopher a lot more and make him kind of more Christopher, I guess, in a way, in the fact that he wouldn't want to be touched and he wouldn't want to, like, he would be terrified in that situation because he doesn't know what's going on and it's out of his control. So I think we definitely need to think about that a lot more and develop the character of Christopher to make it fit a bit more, I guess, because when Frantic did theirs, even though they are a physical theatre company, their acting is also extremely strong, and that's what makes that play so good. So we need to make sure that the acting isn't lost amongst all the physical stuff that we're trying to devise as well. So potentially, if we try and get all of it done physically, we definitely need to go back and adapt the characters one by one, even if they're just the little characters of us moving through the train station. I think we need to up them a lot more and make them more individual and unique, rather than just kind of a generic character, I guess.